Good evening, good peoples. This is a video on BTC income funds. I've been asked about this and it's a lot of work, but I knocked it out for you. So let's review what I have here. So with this first page, it's what I call unequal. I took as many funds and things related to BTC and took them back to 11.5. Well, there's a whole bunch of newer funds on BTC like BCC Global X or from Global X that launched on 6.4. I got Baggy and Biddy and 5.1. I got a Grayscale on 4.2. I've got XBiddy from Granite, a big payer, came out on 513. So when you got that, it's not really fair to compare. But what I do is I try to point out total return and even given that and focus on the ones that have 11.5 as a start. And then I was asked about, since I have a Patreon channel and I'm doing a lot over there, a little bit with income funds and a lot with precious metals and miners. And I was asked there if I could include GDXY since it's Yeomax's um, precious metals miners. It's based on GDX. And I thought, well, if I'm going to do that, then I should add GDX. And then since I have BidX, which is a 2 times, I should also include Nugget, which is a GDX 2 time, 2x long. So just looking at total returns and trying to really just focus on the 263-day guys, because it's not fair to compare a shorter period of time. So you've got a 2x doing 141 with 20% distribution. Okay. I get a tiny bit on GDX itself, like a 1%, and a portion of 1% out of the 2x nugget. They do pay. I expect those to pay a lot more over future years to where they can get up to 10 or 15. They may not pay that percentage out. They may pay 4 or 5, but if you figure they're going to 5x from where they are, if you own the fund and keep the fund, then all of a sudden what you paid for the fund is a lot less. So that distribution is a 4 or 5 times increase. So that's how you can get big distributions. All right, guys. So it's the same if Misty goes to $40 or $45 in Yield Max when it was really running, then it's paying $4. Okay. But when it's down to around 20, sometimes, it's $1.50, $1. So it's just the rise in the price of the underlying NAV that can create the distributions being bigger. All right, so 141, these are the two indexes that don't pay any income. 105 and 102. They're always pretty close. I bet it's the more common one, in my opinion. So then you have Biddy actually outperforming the indexes, which is excellent. But again, this isn't the same time frame, right? This is only since 5.1. So that's kind of difficult to say it's going to do that over the long term. But I thought I would show and the same thing with Roundhill. It doesn't go back that far. It's a 530. It's a oh yeah, it does. YBTC does go back. A lot of the other income funds don't go back in Roundhill. Okay, so um, GDX during this same 11.5 to 2024 till now is up 112% and 110.86 is NAV increase, and they pay once a year in December. So small portion, but still that's the one that can really grow and get big as these miners are producing the metals, $40 silver and $3,600 gold instead of the levels they were at a year ago. So these dividends will increase substantially there. And then I thought, okay, well here's my problem with the strategy for GDXY. Even people ask me, yeah, okay, the returns are right. But the problem you have here and most people understand it, is it just can't keep up with the underlying. So for me personally, I own like 300 shares I bought back when it launched with Yieldmax. I haven't sold them, and I'll probably won't sell them, right? But is it the best use of my money? No. But is it very likely that that underlying is not going to have any NAV erosion because GDX should do a 2x, 3x, 4x over the ensuing years? But that may not be the best way to play it. So there's your example that over this 10 months, you made 112%, but you made 39.81. So that's only a third. You're capturing about 34, maybe 35% just for the trade-off of getting some monthly income. For me, that doesn't work. That's not the best use of my money in any real quantity of money. So there are funds like SLJY. I'm really excited about that from Amplify. That's a silver miner stock fund. And Amplify started SLJY about 11 years ago. It's been a very successful, silver juniors. Well, where is the puck going, right? Where, am I chasing where the puck is now, or am I looking at where it's going? Well, with silver rising, the silver miners and silver should outperform percentage wise gold and the gold miners, just on average. That doesn't mean individuals in either category don't outperform the other. You could have a gold miner blow everybody away, right? With a discovery or, buy a company, or there's several ways. But just in general, silver is still not at its all-time high in no way, shape, or form. Gold is. So it has a higher percentage to move. So anyway, I was asked to include GDXY in here, and I did. And I thought, oh, I got a 2x BTC. BitX, what would a nugget look like over this same 10-month period? Look at that outperformance. Again, it pays these little tiny payments, right? Which will increase, but look at the outside gain in that annualized, right? So it got 263 days, so projected out at 365 like everything else. All right, so let's get to some like data and like time frames. The problem is, I have all these funds that didn't start until May, middle of May, and there's one that didn't start till June 4th. So when we start looking at the data, I could make everybody 513 except for the BCCC fund, right? BCCC, say that real fast, from Global X. So for now, I'll leave that, and then I'll do a 6-4 comparison to everybody. All right, let's look at total return, because again, that's what matters. So I was able to sort on this one because it's the first one. I can't really sort since I have them on the same page. I should have put them in separate sheets with their own headers, and then I could sort them. But they're less amount of fun, so your eye will take you through it. So here at XBitty, Granite wins. But to me, that's an ugly win. It's less than 1 percentage point. And what does Granite do? It just massively outpays everybody, right? Grayscale down here has paid 56%, but nobody else is in the 60s as far as an annualized, take the 128 days and annualize the distribution. It's paid $7.13. You have a higher payer here at 716, but you have a higher price fund. Well, one of the problems is it's NAV eroding 25%. You're NAV eroding 40% up here. But again, I do talk total return. So right now, the best fund and looking at all of that stuff, but just barely. So for me personally, I'm glad I own YBTC. I also own some BITO, which isn't particularly performing well in this scenario. Still winning, but again, I have a bigger percent in YBTC. Again, I've held, the 200 shares that I have in BITO for year and a half. And it's funny, the NAV is still underneath, but all the collective payment, it's the classic case of, house money. You get to the point where you collect enough. But again, if it was a large amount, I'd be moving it, right? I much prefer YBTC, and I can understand somebody chasing YBITI, right? But just understand what you own, that it does nav erode for those big payments more. All right. So, because what did you do? You barely, right? You got 40% here and you're down 0.68. So call that break even to get to your 39. They had to go up almost 80% and lose almost 40 to keep 40, right? It's still total return, guys. It is what it's a lot better than a 5 or 7%, right? If I'm in YBIT, oh my God, I got minus 5% total return. Why? Because they're paying me 26%, but they're nav eroding me 31. I hate that fund. I really do. It's one of the worst funds. If you own that, get the hell out. What are you thinking? Okay. This is well, it is 513. All right. That's but still, it's not like it ever wins or even in the top half of any of these. So it just doesn't make any sense to own that fund. They're much better fund. So let's go look at everybody from 6.4, right? Remember we had one player at 6.4 and everybody at 513. So let's see how we're doing. Well, I put in blue because I can't sort the same. So 46%. So XBitty continues to win, but really by a point 1.8%, right? Who's in second place? Roundhill, just like they were up there. 46% to 44%. BCC's got its same 39. It's in the running, but it's not the winner, right? So all of these are excellent. And then where's my BITO? 29%. Okay. Bit better, but it's still the worst of what? 8 other funds? Yeah, so 9 funds, it's in ninth place. And here's your problem right here. It's not from not paying, it outpays this guy, but it out erodes everybody, right? So BITO outpays it, nav erodes a little bit less and comes out with a bigger number. All right. So in final, guys, I was asked to do this also. So I took everything back to 5.1 because I could. Okay. And then I added by demand, let me look at GDXY. And I said, okay, if I'm going to do that, why don't I also take a look at GDX, right? To see just why I tell you that I don't like income fund. I like income funds sometimes, and especially the weeklies because I can shift gears. If like Palantir, if that underlying just blows up and runs, I can't keep up with it. I like the good payments, but at some point I'm going to sell it and buy back in when the inevitable returns closer to its 200-day moving average. And that's not for everybody. But you guys that go, hey, what's a 10-year fund that I can just put my money in and kill it? Well, go out and put it in treasuries or go out and put it in SCHD or VU or some of these, indexes that are conservative. You can go get 10, 15% money pretty easily. To me, the best fund for that kind of stuff, get your 18% in SLJY and then get a lot of NAV and growth over time. That doesn't mean that there isn't a big pullback and you have a 3 months where your NAV is negative. I'm talking about for 4 to 6 years. There's a shortage in silver, guys. Silver is going to go from its $40 to probably in the 100s, possibly 200s. It's inevitable. It's consumed. It's industrial. It may even drop again here with this recessionary, but we've got stagflation. Inflation is there. So again, I want to see its distribution, but I don't have any concerns about the company. The company that's writing it actually owns the SILJ, which is an ETF on silver junior miners. And that is part of what they own, and they write calls on that, and then they go out and buy a lot of the bigger cap and junior miners for silver. There aren't that many altogether. There's probably 25 good silver producers. So they own a bunch of those and just write a portion of covered calls so that they can get to 18% and still allow for the growth. You don't want to write it 3% out and have that thing run, because they pay monthly, run up 10 or 11%, and you keep losing the stocks and you keep having to roll up and chase them. All right, guys. So that's what I got for you. So look at this. GDX 165%, GDXY 57. Again, it goes back to you're lucky if you get 34%. So if your income is okay on 34%, mine isn't, right? I own 300 shares of GDXY. I bought them right near the opening, around 20. I'm ahead of the game because it's in the 16s and I've been paid a lot. And so I'll just hold it. It makes it easier to report on the fund and have some sensation, but it's a small amount of money. I'd be wasting the return when I can get this kind of return or get in the nugget sometimes. All right, guys. So that's what I got for you. Baggy, Biddy, YBTC again are the winners here, right? Baggy and Biddy just a hair ahead, about 4%, well, 3% ahead of YBTC. BTCI, Niels' fund is right there. And then, of course, you got this time you got Maxi from Simplify. Um, and I have a feeling these year-end payments are going to be big. Maxi is known for that. Um, in previous years, they were paying real puny distributions, and they got real big in closing out the year. So I'm kind of looking for that. You may want to sniff Maxi out for that. All right, guys, this is Bruce with Targeted Wealth Creation. I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Um, oh, and then one final. So look at IBIT with its 59 here, the index, over this, what, 5-1 date? That's what I'm using. I'm going to scroll back for a second. Yep, 5-1. But look at MSTR. Yeah, and look at Misty. I colored them orange and not red, guys, because people complain sometimes. This red is hard to see. Depends on the device, but especially if you're on like Yahoo TV or something and you're watching YouTube. But in general, it's harder to see. I was going to change them all, but I just tried a couple. It really doesn't matter the shade of red if you make it bold like that. It pretty much doesn't show well. So the only way to do it is, more of a red pink. And for now, I just went over here. But look at this. MSTR is minus 31. Misty is minus 9. I mean, that makes YBIT look better. But we all know what Misty can do when MSTR decides to pick up and run. So I'm watching. All right, guys, this is Bruce with Targeted Wealth Creation, not a financial advisor, not financial advice. Have a great one. Bye for now.